بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم
اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اشہد ان لا الہ الا اللہ اشہد ان لا الہ الا اللہ اشہد ان محمد رسول اللہ اشہد ان محمد رسول اللہ حی علی الصلاۃ حی علی الصلاۃ حی علی الفلاح حی علی الفلاح اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر لا الہ الا اللہ
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. After the Friday service, we'll say funeral prayers for some members in Jammu and in Pakistan who passed away. And during the prayers, please remember to pray for everyone who is sick or suffering from other problems. I start by reciting chapter 6, verses 160 to 164. من جاء بالحسنة فله عشر أمثالها ومن جاء بالسيئة فلا يجزى إلا مثلها وهم لا يظلمون. قل إنني هداني ربي إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قياما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين قل أغير الله أبغي ربا وهو رب كل شيء ولا تكسب كل نفس إلا عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى ثم إلى ربكم مرجعكم فينبئكم بما كنتم فيه تختلفون. Whoever brings a good deed will have tenfold like it. And whoever brings an evil deed will be recompensed only with the like of it, and they shall not be wronged. Say, as for me, my Lord has guided me to the right path, the right religion, the faith of Abraham, the upright one, and he was not of the polytheists. Say, my prayer and my sacrifice and my life and my death are all surely for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and this am I commanded, and I am the first of those who submit. Say, shall I seek a Lord other than Allah, while He is the Lord of all things? And no soul earns evil but against itself, nor does a bearer of burden bear the burden of another. Then to your Lord is your return. So he will inform you of that in which you differ. And the next one is chapter 30, verse 41. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Corruption has appeared in the land and the sea on account of that which men's hands have wrought, that he may make them taste a part of that which they have done, so that they may return. I have recited these, first of all, to show you what the purpose of one's life and one's struggles and one's actions should be. It is described in verse 162 of chapter 6. Say, 162. Say, my prayer and my sacrifice and my life and my death are all surely for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. And that should be our objective, and that is what we should keep in front of our minds. Whatever we do, it should not be for ourselves. It should not be to earn honor in this world, to earn glory in this world, to earn wealth in this world, but simply for the pleasure of Allah. And if we do this, we'll see how generous Allah is. If we go back to verse 160, it tells us, whoever does anything good, he will be rewarded with a reward which is 10 times more. So your good deeds will be multiplied by 10 and returned to you. But whoever does wrong, their punishment is only equal to the wrong. This is a measure of Allah's generosity and His love and beneficence for the humanity. But chapter 30, verse 41 warns us of what humans are doing and will continue to do, which is that they will spread corruption in the land and the seas. And then they will have to suffer on account of what they have done. And these verses of the Holy Quran can be applied in many different situations. The Holy Quran talks about corruption on land and sea, and we can see what global warming, what pumping carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide into the air has done. You can see what pumping sewage into rivers and the sea has done. Corruption has appeared on land and sea. But I also want to relate these verses to what's been happening in the UK recently, and that is riots by right-wing extremists. And for that, I relate some history. Messrs. Blair and Bush were guilty of genocide against the people of Iraq without any reason. They made up some lies, these two people, and attacked Iraq, killing 1 million people. And interestingly, they haven't suffered any consequences that we can see. Blair has in fact become an advisor to many Arab governments, and he's earning millions doing that. I'm amazed at the Arabs who appointed him their advisor after what he did in Iraq. But the question I want to ask is this, because the recent riots in UK were actually related to the number of immigrants that are coming in. The question I want to ask them is this. Before the genocidal invasion of Iraq by Messrs. Bush and Blair, how many Iraqi asylum seekers were there in the UK? Hardly any. And since then, I think over 50,000 Iraqis have come to the UK to seek asylum. Why? Because the country has been devastated. Schools and colleges and universities and hospitals and clinics and means of earning their living in factories and so on. And in fact, it's been looted by the Americans who've stolen Iraqi oil and made millions out of it, by American private security agencies who did the same thing. Looted Iraqi museums, etc., and pocketed the proceeds. So how can you blame Iraqis for coming over to seek sanctuary here when you were the ones responsible for destroying their country? What did it have to do with you? Blair tells us, oh, well, Saddam Hussein was a liar and a dictator and so on. Mr. Blair, you too are a liar. You lied to the parliament. You said Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Your ambassador lied to United Nations, saying the same thing. This is not the first time. You did that many times before when you wanted to attack some country. Let's carry on. How many Afghanis were there in the UK seeking assistance and asylum before you started meddling in Afghan affairs? How many were there? There were hardly any. But since your rout, your defeat in Afghanistan, has the situation improved? Has it got any better? Or has it got worse? How many Afghanis are here seeking asylum now? And who is responsible? The British right-wing extremists tell us. I know it's the Afghanis' fault, but they bombed themselves, did they? They turned machine guns on themselves so that others could claim asylum in Britain. It wasn't just Afghanistan. You killed Afghanis who fled to Pakistan to seek sanctuary there. And the result was, because there was no food, there were no means of earning a living, people from Afghanistan had to escape. And you were the ones who were telling them how great Britain was. You still say Great Britain, although the greatness seems to have disappeared a long time ago. Yet you extolled the virtues of your country and your democracy and your freedom and so on, and you told the Afghans that they had none. Yes, for a large measure, apart from what the Afghani government supported by you was doing, it was also what you were doing to them, killing them and maiming them and destroying their homes and crops and everything else. So they came to UK. Why did you go to Afghanistan? Why did you have to meddle in Afghani affairs? What's it got to do with you who rules Afghanistan? What business is it of yours who rules Iraq or Afghanistan or Dubai or wherever? When it suits you, dictatorship is nasty, lack of freedom of speech and so on is nasty and horrible and so on. But when it suits you, the same people become your lovely friends, don't they? When you need their oil, they become your lovely friends, don't they? I've just chosen two countries as an example to show you how hypocritical All politicians are, whether American or British or in any other country, or whether conservative or Republican or Democrat or Labour. They don't care about me. They don't care about the people of Britain. They don't care about the people of Iraq or Afghanistan. They only care about lining their own pockets. That's all they care about. And because they want to be paraded and saluted all over the world, the Britain becomes the American poodle, the lapdog. Why didn't you say to the Americans, well, you want to attack Iraq, go ahead and attack Iraq? The United Nations inspectors are saying Saddam doesn't have any weapons of mass destruction. So we're not going to join you. Have you no guts? Have you no backbone? That you've just become America's lackeys? American president whistles and your prime minister goes running. Yes, sir. Which boot do you want me to kiss today? The right one or the left one? I just mentioned 2 countries, but I can carry on and mention many more. I can mention many more instances. It's like people demanding that we denounced the October the 7th attacks by Hamas. Why don't you denounce what happened at Deir Yassin? What happened? Why don't you denounce the fact that all Israeli prime ministers have been terrorists? Members of Stern Gang and Urban Gang. When United Nations was about to put a peace flag to the world, they blew up the King David Hotel in Jerusalem. Why don't you denounce any of that? Why don't you denounce the attacks on Sabra and Shatila refugee camps by the Israeli genocidal murderers? You invited those people to the White House and 10 Downing Street, and you embraced them and kissed them and gave them tea and cream cakes and so on. The right-wing extremists are writing to try and influence Britain's home policy, its internal politics. Well, here's a suggestion for you. In these riots, why don't you try and influence Britain's foreign policy? And tell your prime minister that we are a piddly little island off the coast of Europe. Let's look after our own people and stop meddling in the affairs of countries which are 10,000 miles away from us. Stop lying and telling us that you have the Iraqis or the Afghan people's welfare in mind and you want them to have democracy and freedom. Immigrants are here as a direct result of the British foreign policy, not for any other reason. If you'd not meddled in the affairs of those countries, these people wouldn't have become homeless and bombed and terrorized and forced to leave their countries and come to the UK or wherever else they have to go. Why doesn't the British right wing demand an end to this foreign interference? I mean, the amount of money it costs to invade these countries, the arms and ammunition and fuel and lives. But no one seems to think of that. It's not only the people in boats who are coming to the UK. It's people who've been dispossessed, made homeless, and are dying of starvation and hunger because of the foreign policies of people like Bush and Blair. And no one, if anyone should be charged with war crimes, it's these two people for what they did to Iraq and Afghanistan and so on. But anyway, in general, immigrants are here as a result of your government's foreign policies. So please make a demand that Britain is a small, insignificant island and it should retreat to that island and behave in the way that people of a small island should behave and not pretend to be some great world power, because it's such behavior that is causing destruction and mayhem and starvation and death across the world. And this is why people are coming to the UK. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil Azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malikun barrun. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasul. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma ansur man nasara deena Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam waj'alna minhum waqzul man khazala deena Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa la taj'alna minhum. Ibadallah rahimakumullah, inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha anil fahsya'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'izukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Uzkurullaha yazkurkum wad'uhu yastajib lakum wa la zikrullahi akbar wallahu ya'lamu ma tasna'un. Ready? Yeah. Allahu Akbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya al-salah, hayya al-falah, qad qamatis salat, qad qamatis salah. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha إلا الله. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين وويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانهر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ. السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ. استغفر اللہ استغفر اللہ من کل ذنب ربنا تعالی. The funeral prayers in absentia. There are 4 takbeers. After the first one, you start as you do in normal prayer. After the second one, you recite the durood. And after the third one, you recite the funeral prayer or just pray for the deceased in your own language. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you for joining us for today's Friday prayers. And inshallah, we'll see you next Friday. Until then, I pray that Allah keeps all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.